All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Pro Surf Blog today for some epic surf news. Today, I'm here with a special guest, which is Bucky Barry, Buckzaster on Instagram. How you doing, Bucky?
Good, good. Just finished working our Hobie warehouse sale all day. So
Right,
in the
right
sun
on.
all day, enjoying the day.
All right. Well,
Now
what's
home relaxing, talking to you.
nice, man? What's the hot grab over there today? Is there any?
uh
Yes.
Shoots. We're already running low on t-shirts. Probably the most stuff we got is like some men's board shorts and shorts.
Okay.
And then for the ladies, plenty of swimsuits that are way cheaper than they need to be. So that's always a good score, those two. And then some undercover stuff, like a couple really cool boards are going for some really good deals. Saw a
Mm-hmm.
couple bucks leave today. Saw a couple gliders leave today. So a couple cool mid lengths still left. I think we did 10 or 11 boards today, and there's probably 10 or 11 left. So there's also some boards for some pretty ridiculously good deals too.
Right on, man. I'm the gliders are still a little above my skill level. I'm kind of, maybe kind of poaching into that mid-length area. So cool to hear there's some deals on those as
Oh
well.
yeah, there's a couple really cool ones down there. There's
Nice.
Celtics green a couple, so I'm like, but they're still pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, space is an issue, I think. Um, so Bucky, everybody, a lot of you probably know who he is, especially if you're in Southern California or spend a lot of time surfing, longboarding, and following along out there on socials. But I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of information. Uh, Bucky's a local surfer, Southern California, right? And I know or see a lot of your work, Bucky, through Surfers Healing and doing a lot of volunteer type work and assisting with their whole mission over there. Um, my personal thing is that before I knew who you were, well, let me back up. Everybody, as some of you might know, I have four kids, but two of my kids have autism. A 17-year-old, or sorry, 16-year-old. I got a lot of birthdays to remember. 16-year-old and a 7-year-old. And so they participated in a lot of these types of events uh, over the years as well. But personally, I was surfing at San Onofre one day, and sometimes I'll do some video. And I was down the beach, and I was kind of recording a different peak, and then there were so many waves scattered along. I kind of turned the camera down the way in between the sets that were in front of me, and I caught one of your waves. And
Oh yeah, see, is that the one you posted
yeah, this was
and
like the
sent me
end
the
of
clip?
last year or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what happened is I posted it. I didn't even like because the screen is so small at the time. I didn't realize what I really had, and then I got to the computer, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this is a really really well surfed wave, right? And so I posted it up to IG, and I was like, I got to figure out who this is. So I just kind of put in the caption, hey, if anybody knows who this is, tag them or let me know. And a friend of mine by the name of Vance Weathermon, who's down from Oceanside area,
Oh, okay.
he knew who you were, and he was like, "Oh, that's Buckzaster. He tagged you or something."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, that is so cool, man. The way that works, you know."
Oh, it's crazy the world these days, how like with Instagram, I've had that happen a few times where randomly somebody gets a clip and they're like, I don't know who this is, but and then somebody lets them know, and then you end up creating a conversation as we're having right now.
Right. That's, yeah, like exactly kind of led to a series of things that came to this point. And of course, I've seen some other clips of you through GhettoZoom, Paul, as well.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
good dude.
yeah, for sure. I've spent a couple moments with Paul as well and had some good times, and he does some really good footage for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
he's there plenty.
yeah, for sure. I used to see him at Santa quite a bit, but I feel like maybe, the yard has poached him a little bit over there at
Oh yeah,
Doheny.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I see, yeah, he's getting some of your clips, Brian Bent, a few of the other
Yeah.
regulars over there. Um, and so, before I kind of get into it, since we're doing the introduction, I'm going to share something that I thought was pretty funny. Let me kind of switch my screen up here a little bit. Let me see here. Um, all right, so I got this up on the screen there. You see that okay, Buck?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I went on, I was like, oh, I'm gonna do a little searching for for what about Bucky.
Whoa,
And it told me that you're the mayor of Dana Point. That's the part that really shocked
whoa,
me.
that's pretty random. I don't know how it gets that, but that's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
And
pretty random, but that's hilarious.
right?
And the mayor of Dana Point, California. Oh, that
Yeah,
is
so
hilarious.
I was at first I was like, because I was, we're about to set up this talk, this chat, and I was like, wait, hold up, wait, is he the mayor? I was like really almost kind of like panicked, like, oh my gosh, I got to really get. And I'm like, oh wait, hold up, man. I'm like, surfers got over on AI there somehow, right? Like,
Oh, that is hilarious. Yeah, I used to goof around that, like, when I was in other places, I was like back when I used to party, I was like, "Oh, I'm like the party mayor of Dana Point," was, like,
right.
my ongoing joke with some of my friends in other parts of the world, so that's
Yeah,
pretty
I think
hilarious it popped up on there, like, I don't think I ever wrote it down anywhere, it was just a joke amongst some friends that, like, "Oh, yeah, when you come, I know where to go on Monday for the party, Tuesday for the party, Wednesday we go to this place, Thursday," so it was like that was the encompassing bit of it amongst my traveling friends, and yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
yeah, because like every it's almost every peak, right? Especially popular peaks, people will kind of affectionately say somebody's the mayor, right? Somebody who
Yeah.
spends a lot of time there and so forth. And the way AI, works obviously is I think it kind of goes to several sources and then tries to create its own like
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
it basically shortcuts it to make it a simple deal from all of the data it can grab like that, and it breaks it down into I actually listened to a pretty good podcast, I don't know where it was, but they kind of broke down the real backing behind AI and how it works. And
Mhm.
they're like, it's basically a research center that just does it, acts as the brain, and it goes and does all these things, finds all this research, and then re-plugs it into a simpler form for people to understand.
That's a great
Right,
way of putting it for
right
sure.
there. So it's a pretty funny that it came up with that.
Yeah, I mean, so somebody, like you said, somebody had that somewhere, and then obviously AI decided that was pretty important. I mean, if you're the
Yeah, hey, I'll
mayor,
take it.
we better bring that piece of information to the top. So
Yeah, that's
that
hilarious.
was pretty cool, man. I was pumped on that. And so all right, that's a bunch of fun stuff, everybody. So Bucky, before we kind of get into some of the surface healing kind of activities, uh, how did you get started in longboarding? I mean, was it from the get-go? Did what was kind of your path to longboarding?
Well, I grew up playing like every other sport as a kid. I mean, as a kid, I was from 5, I was like baseball in the baseball season, basketball in the basketball season. Tried to
Okay.
play football. They said I was too little, so I played flag football, all
Okay.
those kind of things. So I did all of that. And then one summer, pretty much just went to the beach a couple times and tried to stand up on my boogie board. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, my basketball coach, Tom Loy, his son Tommy, who is my same age,
Mm-hmm.
they already surfed and stuff, and so
Okay.
they had a board they didn't use, a 6-1 like Surfside Sports thruster from probably late 80s, early 90s, if you were to break it down. And they let
Okay.
me have it. And then my neighbor up the street, Jake, his grandparents lived 4 houses away, and he actually would come out for the summer from Minnesota, and they
Okay.
surfed. So they were he was kind of taught me what to do in the water. Tommy supplied
Sure.
me with the board, and then just got on it. And I was shortboarding that little board at Doheny every day. And I honestly thought the coolest thing was when everybody else is longboarding. I just had my first board, was trying to shortboard.
Sure.
And I thought the coolest thing in surfing was when I'd look back and see guys nose riding and see
Mm-hmm.
the tail coming out the back.
Right.
And so honestly, that was all I wanted to do was probably grass is greener type of situation since I was
Sure.
on a
Okay.
shortboard and couldn't nose ride. The
Right.
place I was at every day, all the best guys in the water at the time were on the nose with the tail sticking out the back. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And so I wanted to do that. And then so for started surfing in probably July. And then that Christmas, um, my dad got me and my sister custom surfboards from Mark Ellis around the corner from our house.
Okay.
I got a cool airbrushed three
Mhm.
stringer 8.0.
Wow.
And so that was
Customs.
my first longboard that I could go and cross step on and do all
Okay.
those kind of things.
And when you said yeah, Surfside Sports, I mean that's North Huntington Beach. Is that
Yeah, they're like down, I think they're like just south, like right in Newport,
mm-hmm.
Newport
Oh, okay.
Huntington zone right there.
Yeah.
I think they're still in the same spot,
Okay.
but I had
Well,
never been until actually probably 20 years after I started surfing. I went and was like, oh, they're still here. And I actually went and did a lap just because I had the board.
Right. And then you see the waves, you kind of get, yeah, probably the short board is, probably a lot of what they sell there, right?
Oh yeah.
But Doheny, you say the grass is greener. There was just a lot more grass too, right? Lot of longboarders.
Oh yeah. That's the thing is there's everybody else was on a longboard, and it's not like when you're in the lineup there, you didn't see guys flying by you on shortboards doing hard like just
Mhm.
what you saw and what was cool, what you wanted to emulate in your close proximity
Sure.
was longboarding.
Yeah.
And it's also the waves there like pretty much present themselves for longboarding pretty easily and learning to surf, but
Sure.
it's also a pretty perfect little shrunken lowers type wave that's really meant for riding a pretty big board. And when you're learning on a shortboard, like I said, like watching all that go on, it's kind of all I wanted to do, which probably is reverse of the way most people come up surfing. They probably just are getting pushed in on a longboard at 5. And then it's like, as soon as they can go run down the hill at Creek with their buddies, they want to surf just like Kelly Slater and everybody, which I wanted to do too. But
Mhm.
at the time when you're just first getting into it and you see
You you might
everybody nose riding by you, that's what you got to do.
you might get us into a little bit of trouble because you kind of use the word lowers and like perfect longboarding wave in the same sentence a minute ago.
Well, let's be real, it kind of is too.
Yeah.
It's just there's a lot
Yeah.
of shortboarders in the way. I mean, it's so crowded now, you can't even get the setup you would really want to
Right.
get the nose right on the takeoff. So it's kind of over. But it's
Yeah.
kind of funny because all the same people who think it's the sickest performance wave in the world also say the final shouldn't be there because it's too mushy
Yeah.
and
Right. Oh, yeah, of course.
too soft of a wave, which longboarding.
Yeah, I've been and I spent decades shortboarding, and I don't get me wrong, I love surfing trestles. All those breaks are awesome for any kind of board, really. But yeah, over the years, after you surf other places, I'm like, when people who don't know it who come to town or something, I'm always like, it's kind of a big burger, it's a
Yeah, it's
big
a
burger
great
wave.
wave and it's super fun to
Yeah,
ride any board on.
yeah,
But there if there weren't so many people out there on shortboards, it'd be a pretty unreal wave to longboard.
yeah,
Probably
for sure.
90% of days. Obviously, there's days everywhere where it gets too big and you want to ride smaller boards. But
Right, right. Yeah,
I do find it funny how it's the best performance wave in the world. We all want to surf it every day. It shouldn't be the last stop on the WCT because it's too soft and too mushy.
that's right. Yeah, and I
It's
kind of agree with all those things. I mean, but yeah, in the last couple of years, I've kind of been planting that seed too, that it's a longboard wave. I mean,
oh, it 100%
definitely.
is, but
Yeah.
it's also where we live, the only one that you can shortboard every day too, maybe.
Okay,
There's not very
we just lost like 5, 10 viewers right now, but not, yeah, just no, and so well, okay, so on that note, uh, you know, how are you like navigating the crowd, right? Like obviously you've been surfing your whole life. You've been surfing Southern California, so we got a lot of people. I'm sure you've done your travels obviously in a variety of different ways. So navigating the crowd in general, I mean, that seems to me like a really huge part of surfing, right? There's like finding good waves, and there's, obviously your personal skill level and trying to get that to where you want it to be. But for me, I know that the crowd is definitely a major component that can affect your session in a lot of ways. So, what are some of the things that you do that work for you in a crowded lineup?
I mean, I think the main thing is a lot of places you go surfing, there's multiple peaks and things. And I'm a huge proponent of, and like I mostly longboard, so I don't need to be at the best peak. If there's going to be 50 people on the best peak on that stretch of beach,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to surf where there's the 50 people. I'll
Okay.
take the peak 10% worst down the beach and
Mm-hmm.
surf by myself
Right.
or with a small group of people and things like that. So I think the way I approach it a lot is, especially, and the better the waves are, the easier it is to find
Mm-hmm.
a 10% less wave is still a great wave
Mm-hmm.
that nobody else wants.
Right.
So there's also that aspect of, lower your expectation. Like surfing's so much fun, no matter what waves you're getting in a session and stuff. So when it's real crowded, I'll just go out and be like, I'll just take what nobody else wants. Like
Right.
it's still
Right.
going to be fun. Sometimes it's pumping and it's like, well, I'm going to go ride my longboard instead because I'm just going to go get the small stuff nobody wants. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's other times where you're like, oh, it's pumping. I'm just going to go sit and wait way out the back. Like one of my favorite, like most days I surf, I sit just way past everybody at
Mm-hmm.
four doors and Everybody wants to ride. You pick the waves. Every peak has different types of waves that come in.
Right.
And if you make a choice of these are the types I want,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens to be different from what everybody else wants. I
Mm-hmm.
happen to be goofy foot. A lot of times everybody else wants to go right.
Right.
Some of my favorite waves are rights that have a little left at the top that there might be 30 people trying to surf a right, and I'll surf the left that I get to do 2 turns on and kick out, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
surfing alone.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
30 guys trying to find the right, they can go 300 yards down the beach. Like they get 2 good ones and are mad at the crowd the whole time. And I've ridden 30 super fun, real quick ones. And I, I, I talk to you guys and then leave and catch a good one. Like, I think that's the main thing is, lower your expectations and go
Mm-hmm.
down the beach if it's too crowded. Like surfing's supposed to be fun. If you're going to put yourself in a situation where
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be around so many people that you're just bummed out,
Mm-hmm.
then your session isn't going to be as good anyways. And you're not going to get as many of those good waves you're trying to like be in the best spot for because there's 50
Mm-hmm.
guys that want the exact wave you want. You
Mm-hmm.
go down to the beach and get the wave that you're the only one that wants it. It's still pretty fun.
Right.
And so that's what I do a lot when I surf, especially traveling. Makes
Okay.
it a lot easier. If you don't know anybody in the lineup, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go over here where nobody else is. And like, maybe they come join me. We wrap out and I'm welcomed over there, things like that.
Right.
But I think there's always a way to find your zone and you can
Mm-hmm.
find it. Like I said, even if it's at a place like Malibu, you're like, all right, I'm not going to sit with everybody and wait for those sets. But there's these medium ones that all these guys don't really look at and everybody on the inside can't look at yet.
Right.
And when the sets come, I'm going to get smoked. But if I just pick these ones, like I'm the only one that wants them.
All
And so
right. Good.
things like that. So I like to approach it like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it makes every day of surfing, like we've been doing it a long time. Like I've been doing it almost 30 years, 28 years, I guess, 27 years.
Wow.
And so you finding new challenges, just, surfing a wave that's a little worse because it's harder
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. You'll get more enjoyment out of it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Every time if I try to tell somebody how long I've been surfing, their response usually is like, "How come you're not that good then?" So no, I'm just kidding. But back to what you were saying, I guess. So many times when I'm like deciding I want to sit at that peak, somebody who's really good will paddle out, sit way on the inside, and I'm sitting there turning around watching them get like 20 waves ripping them, every which way. And so, yeah, there's a lot of different strategies. Well, ripping them and they're probably better surfers than me, and yet they're not.
But they're taking advantage of something else somebody else isn't noticing, or
Right.
you're not looking for the same thing they're looking for. So they just go find that one that looks
Mhm.
like, and you can usually tell like when you stand on a beach, like everybody wants those. And there's always some unwritten waves, like obviously not at a place like Lowers or Malibu, but
Right.
most of the times you go to the beach and you can find like, oh, all of those style waves, nobody's near. They're not
Mhm.
looking at it. I'll just go for those ones. They're
Yeah.
still good.
Yeah, I guess I should throw out one of the names. There's a shortboarder, South County, Orange County, Cyan. Gosh, that guy, he's an older guy, rips on a shortboard, and he'll triple the amount of waves I have and do amazing maneuvers. And I'm just like, gosh, this guy is so good. And yeah, he seems to have a better session than I'm having. I mean, just by quality and quantity, all boxes checked. So
Yeah, and surfing's like it's so much fun. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
you like bad days can be so fun and like rad that like on a good day go get a couple that nobody wants but they're still head high and sicker than 90% of the days you get to surf anyways.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot
Yeah.
more fun than sitting and watching everybody surf around you while you battle and get cranky.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Last week or a week and a half ago, some of the smarter people went to like trails, and said it was
Yeah.
one of the best days ever, or days ever over there. So
Yeah,
there's
there's always that
nobody.
approach too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so Surfers Healing, that's the organization you've been spending a lot of time supporting
Yeah.
over the years, right? So how did you get involved with working with them and special needs events?
So I kind of lucked into it. A good friend of mine, Austin Bronner, we grew
Okay.
up and we were kind of the smallest kids in class. So
Mhm.
when everybody was making fun of short people, it was the two of us type of thing. And
Okay.
his family is related to the Paskowitz family by marriage
Okay.
type of thing. The Brauners and the Paskowitz, they're related. And so basically within that family, once you're 14, 15 and can go work at the overnight camp, you do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 16, I was lucky enough to get a big F-150 long bed truck. And so he went down to work at camp and he was like, hey, do you want to come, now that you have your license, do you want to come work at camp? So I got my driver's license, and the following week I was driving every board to the beach in the back of my pickup
Oh,
for
wow.
Paskowitz Surf Camp with Doc
Yeah.
Paskowitz sitting next to me in my truck.
Right.
Like
Um,
Dorian, who did all this stuff in the motorhome and got like at 16 years old to get the stories of I think at the time he was probably 79 or 80, and his stories about being around the world and that and getting to drive to the beach with him every day.
oh,
Pretty
Doc.
sucked in. Doc, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And that camp is still Sano, right?
No, we've been down. So when I first went back in 2003, I think that was their second or third year back down in Pacific Beach.
Okay.
So they started down there in Campland on the Bay, where we still camp today, and
Okay.
did the lessons down. I think they still did them at Law Street area. They might have done it more straight into
Mm-hmm.
Mission at that time, way back
Yeah.
in '72, I believe it started. And so we did it at Wilbur Street in Pacific Beach for a long time.
Okay.
Right there was where we did our overnight camps,
Right.
which were for typical families. And then
Mm-hmm.
we also, in the last, I believe we started doing them about 15 years ago, maybe 12 to 15 years ago, we
Mm-hmm.
do overnight autism camps. So
Yeah.
kind of like the Surfers Healing event, but
Mm-hmm.
at our
Awesome.
events, we have 250 kids. The
Yeah.
overnight camp, we have one-on-one.
Right.
So like
Okay.
I have a student and
Okay.
then their family is kind of
Uh-huh.
my squad, and you take the
Sure.
child out for an hour or two, and then
Mm-hmm.
mom, dad, sister, whoever else wants to surf, get them some waves. And they
Mm-hmm.
also get to live amongst like a bunch of like cool surf dudes. Like,
Yeah.
as you know, like it's sometimes communities aren't as welcoming to these kids and their families. And so for cool surf dudes and their squad and their families to welcome you in, when
Yes.
people who are just kind of on your level, maybe, or like in
Sure.
your same lifestyle, won't even
Yeah.
accept you. For these
Yeah.
people you see as people you'll never be in touch with to accept you, like I think
Right.
they see that as something pretty big. And
Yeah.
so they get to come live amongst us, and we wake up and eat breakfast together. We have time around the campfire together. We're at the beach all day laughing and giggling. And
Yeah.
a really big thing we get to do for them is the mom and dad get to be, you know, Lexi and Sandra. They don't have to be, Dylan and Max moms. They get to be them again, while
Right.
also like seeing their kids have this joyous experience with
Right.
other kids
For
in the same
peers.
deal as them. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get to see families come that have a young kid on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and they're sitting at a dinner table with a family who went through everything they're about to go through
Mm-hmm.
in life, and
Yes.
they can conversate over just a casual dinner. It's not something stressful or anything. Where by the
Yeah.
campfire, having some drinks, having some food, and
Sure.
the kids get to be themselves. If they
Right.
have their weird tendencies and stuff, everybody around them is, oh
Yeah.
yeah, like that's if they get lost, everybody's on it going looking for them. Like that, they can feel safe and that weight off their
Right.
shoulders.
Yeah.
As
You're
you know,
you're
at the
you're
grocery
hitting that.
store, you got to apologize every 3 minutes. Like when you're with us, like all of that is gone. You get to be you. Your kids get to be themselves. And
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing. A lot of people see like, oh, you take them surfing, cool, you get cool photo ops. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that's probably literally 1% of the effect it actually has on the family,
Mm-hmm. Right.
especially at our big events when these
Right.
families don't get to go have beach days. They
Mm-hmm.
get to go have a beach day where everybody around them is cheering for their kid. They're
Mm-hmm.
doing something that they're told they're not going to do.
Right. Yeah.
Do
I
you guys
think you hit a lot of things on the head in terms of the challenges of doing some of these things like camping, going on a trip, and a lot of times those things that you're talking about, your parents' minds are preoccupied with safety
exactly?
and are we, imposing on neighboring people wherever we're at, and like you said, the feelings of apologies and so yeah, I think even so I haven't done the overnight thing. We're always looking at it. I think we probably always make excuses of why it would be hard for us, like our kids are up all night and they're loud and all that kind of stuff.
We
But
love the chaos.
I know that's true. And in terms of the day program or the surfing day, and we've done a number of different organizations, events like that are out there. They've kind of sprung up over the years, but
Yeah.
Service Healing obviously was definitely at the front of it, and we were doing it quite some time ago. But like you said, it's not just that moment on the surfboard.
Hmm.
It's literally like from the parking lot, we see people like us. We get out of the car, we're walking to it, and the beach is, taken over.
Yeah.
In a sense, typical people are a little kind of like outside of what's going on in a sense, right?
Oh, 100%.
And yeah, there's not those strange looks, or there's more acceptance. The typical people that are there, because they see the wide variety of community there on the beach, they're kind of drawn into it as well, right? Like,
Oh, 100%. At our events, there's so many people who are just wandering by and they come up kind of, hey, like, I mean, it's a loud thing. Like, we have
right,
20 of us on a wave, like in the water, 20 kids at a time, basically, maybe up to 25.
right,
And at any given time, like six of us could be riding a wave. That's six families freaking out that there's somebody on a wave.
yeah,
And then there's the people next to him that because it was a late takeoff and a gnarly drop, everybody, you hear the, oh. But I mean, I've surfed a lot of longboard contests. I've been at a lot of US Opens.
right,
And our little group, when it takes over on those days, is
yeah,
tenfold louder. Like the exuberance. And when you like, I had one of my coolest moments actually this year. I lucked out in Folly Beach, South Carolina. If I can go on
okay,
a
yeah,
slight tangent, it
yeah,
was the weird high tide and the psychopathic current. Waves weren't big or anything. It was like belly button high, but just a lot of water
okay,
moving. And
sure,
from the high tide, it created this pretty big berm, like
okay,
vertical berm,
sure,
and at the high tide, the water was like hitting it. So all the spectators, they basically had like they
a
were
shield.
elevated,
Oh,
waist high
oh,
above you on a berm. And everybody's obviously that's has to be the wall. Nobody's going to stand in front of it. They're going to get
right,
hit. And they
right,
have everybody with their medals. There was like probably the Folly Beach High School cheerleading squad.
okay,
And so the first wave I got of the day, me and this kid got away from like almost at the pier, all the way down. The current was so strong, even if you like were going straight in the whitewash, you were
right,
gonna go 100 yards down the beach. And we
oh,
scored it
awesome.
like perfect left, like got to do some top turns, cutbacks, and we made it past the whole event site. So we made it to where everybody was, and you couldn't paddle back, so you had to run. And so I
Right,
had my kid, he took off running and he high fived every person on the run back. And I was just running behind him, watching him like first wave of the day, and I had goosebumps. Like, are you kidding? Like, and like there's people on the side fighting, climbing over each other to get the high five from him. And if they didn't get it there, you'd see them running to try to get it farther down the line. And it's the high school
that's
cheerleading team, the 7-year-old kids running by high
that's like
fiving them,
that's like
like
Kelly Slater vibes right there. You're cutting,
oh my, yeah,
going
it
back
was
and
like
winning.
he just got a 10 in the final and was running to the podium to get his trophy. Like it was so, and that was just our first wave. I was like, bro, hey, we're gonna get like two more, dude. It's sick right now.
Yeah,
And like to me, that was in the 20 whatever years I've been doing it. Like one of the coolest things I got to see was like this kid just running down and the people fighting to like be a part of it. Like I have to high five this kid. Like I
yeah,
just seen that. I need to be a part of it. And they were that event especially is super gnarly. Like I'm pretty sure they have to turn away volunteers.
wow, yeah,
That Southern hospitality down in South
sure,
Carolina. It's like the whole town comes out. The mayor welcomes us the night before. Like
hmm,
it's a huge ordeal. And so it was like a coliseum going on with that weird berm. And you could see this
right,
kid, like, I could see from behind him, his smile was lighting up the back of his head. It was
yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, my kids, they really love, I mean, their favorite thing, I mean, they'll get on the board and they'll kind of do that stuff, but they really love just standing in the water and having the waves hit them. I don't know what it is about the resistance or whatever. So a lot of times we end up, when we go to the events, um, that part is however long it takes, 5, 10,
Yeah.
20, but then we're obviously standing in the water kind of, with the crew still,
Yeah,
kind of to the
exactly.
side.
And we always tell people because some people are nervous, like, oh, my kid's not going to get on a board. Like,
Right.
I got him signed up, and it's like, well, come down. Like, worst case, you stand on the side and cheer and have a great day.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
your worst case scenario is you're gonna have a great day. And we don't say no. Like, if it
Right.
takes us an hour and a half to get you on the board,
Yeah.
but you're like gonna do it, like we'll get you there. Like it's gonna happen. I've had kids. I had a kid in Australia that me and my he's usually my roommate. He's one of my best friends, Blake.
Mhm. Okay.
We've driven across the country a bunch together, Blake, Michael, and we had this kid that it took the mom 3 hours to get him out of the car in
Okay.
Australia. 3 hours, like to get. He was a grown 20, probably somewhere between 17 and 22, but
Mm-hmm.
Blake's probably like 6'3". I am not,
Mm-hmm.
and he was probably much bigger than Blake and like a,
Right.
a, a, a man,
A man. Yeah.
and he was having nothing to do with it. And we finally, she got him out of the car, got him down to the water. We got him out there, and we were at Currumbin, I believe, where it's got like a long alleyway, so we can stand in just waist deep water and jump into
Okay.
whitewater and go forever.
Okay.
And we get him out there, and like once he's on the board, he's still kind of eggy and weird, but then he mellows out. We get him a couple waves, he's standing up, and like the smile on his face, and he went in, and like you could just see him, like when they walked to the car, they were like, he was kind of skipping like just a happy kid. Like
Yeah.
after it took 3 hours to get out of the car,
Right.
and he was fighting, kicking, screaming, and that was, I think they had drove 3 hours too, like
Right.
whole ordeal, and he still got to have that experience. Like we
Yeah,
don't like,
that's
just give up. Like
yeah,
that's the other
really
part of
awesome.
it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of people, there's so many different nuances with autism, and so a lot of people don't understand that sometimes it can take a long time to do something, like you said. So certain cases, one of my younger son, there's situations like at school, he might take 30 minutes or 45 minutes to decide he's going to move, from this place or activity to move on. And
Yeah,
so it's not completely alien. And then obviously if you're going to a timed event, right, or you're going somewhere that is on a schedule,
yeah,
that gets difficult for some families. So some families don't show up to a variety of, outside of this kind of event.
yeah. No,
Just
I know
life.
what you mean.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
and a lot of the parents too, they have that. They'll get there and like, so like, my kid was supposed to surf at 1, but we're here now, and like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to like make it. I was like, just get in line, we got you.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we can always accommodate. We're a bunch of surfers at the beach trying to have fun. Like that's, and we're
Yeah.
going to.
I know
Like,
you guys have a great crew of people kind of doing the administrative stuff on the beach,
mm-hmm.
and they do try to bring some order to it. So I know a couple times, I know Izzy's kind of like shuffled us into the line
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit,
yeah.
and they come over, regulating, and then Izzy will bounce, so then he's not, and
Oh
then
yeah,
and then they're trying to figure out how to get us in. But
yeah. But we
yeah,
always find a way.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's really awesome. I think you guys do an amazing job with that. I, I being a shortboarder most of my life, surfing in the 80s and 90s, I thought shortboarding was it. Like, so I was surfing more like Huntington Beach, LA, Orange County areas. And so shortboarding was more common, I guess, over there at the time. And so, it was always such a personal thing, or, personal satisfaction type of situation for myself. And, I get proficient, get pretty good at it or whatever. And then not, I always liked longboarding. I always respected it's awesome, right? I mean, that a lot of people will tell you surfing was longboarding, right? Like the original surfing
Yeah,
is
I mean
is bigger boards.
yeah,
So,
it started there.
but when the time came in my life where I had a son with autism, uh, my shortboarding wasn't helpful.
You don't have the time.
In that way, it was the time, the expertise, but also like, well, if a really good shortboarder only knows how to shortboard, they're going to have a hard time volunteering at Surfers Healing.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see there's
Right.
more of a transition for those guys to ride the bigger boards,
Right.
deal with the way they take off on, especially like the steeper waves. Like I don't want to put him down because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
amazing he was there, and but one of the top shortboarders in the world,
Oh, yeah.
Ripper Shredder, also
Mhm.
has one of the best pearls I've ever seen. Surfing with a kid
Right.
in New
Cool.
Jersey, just I took
Okay.
off on the one before, and I turned around and I got to see one of the best pearls ever. And this is like, I'm talking top guys. And it
Yeah.
was one of the best things I ever saw. And the kid popped up, and it was all good. Like everybody was stoked. And but there is that transition of like, whoa, there's a lot of board out here. So I definitely, some of the guys I have talked to about that, and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, you longboarders got such an advantage on the start on this." Like just the knowledge of how to use a longer rail and dealing
Right.
with a bigger board in the water, spinning it around when you have a big kid
Sure.
on it.
It's
Because
a
you've
whole
been at
nother
the events,
thing.
you see like we'll take kids bigger than me, bigger than you,
Yeah.
and take off on waves tandem, like have to turn around, have to set lines on 12-foot boards with maybe 200-300 pounds on the front of it. So
And those that weight isn't always kind of like working with you, right? Like I
oh
think
yeah, usually
that's the
it's
thing
not.
with autism. There's motor issues and coordination challenges, and so and because of how they might react, or anybody, any person reacting, but that weight is shifting a lot of times in a way that is not working with you, right? And if they're not verbal or something like that, it's a little hard to kind of get that kind of agreement on what you're going to be doing down the wave. So yeah, it just a second person on a board, right? You can be a really good surfer yourself, but managing another person on one board is a whole kind of like added skill set.
Oh yeah, when we have our tricks, like I always like to have the kids go crisscross applesauce,
Okay. Yeah.
and they usually know that from school. So you can
Yeah.
say, all right. And a lot of kids too, as they're headed out, they have that fear of like, what am I about to do? And if you can say, hey bro, all you got to do is sit crisscross applesauce about 6 inches in front of this handle here. And I
Mhm.
got everything else. Just sit crisscross applesauce and cruise.
Yeah.
I got the rest. Like we can do that. And that gives you a little advantage there. And if they will listen and sit still in those
Right.
scenarios. So there are always those little tricks. Like I have my spots on the board. I like to have them where we're going to
Okay.
have glide. We can get into the wave, but they're also close enough to me that when I stand up, I can grab them. I don't have to like then climb forward and do all that. Like you
Yeah.
find those little things you can do. And I started like with also too, the crisscross applesauce, they're sitting up when you want to pick them up. A
Mhm.
lot of kids that if you have them on their knees, for example, in comparison to the crisscross applesauce,
Mhm.
when you pick them up, the panic is keep the knees tucked.
Mhm.
And so now you're just holding their weight.
Right.
Whereas
Versus
with the
cross.
crisscross applesauce, the panic is drop them and they hit the ground
Uh-huh.
and then
Right.
they're comfortable. They're not going to try to keep them, you know? So
Right.
there's little tricks like that you learn. Just like every time I pick up a kid that I have on his knees and he's scared, it's really heavy. When they're
Mm-hmm.
crisscross applesauce, it works. There's little things and nuances you learn like that. And, but like, as they always say, you meet one kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism. So it's the same with surfing with them. Like some kids are having the most fun and they love it, but they're the hardest kid to surf with because they won't sit still and
Right.
they're
Right.
wiggling, they're jumping up and down, and they're loving it, and it's difficult. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can have a kid who's doesn't like it at all. Is like, I don't want any part of this. But you
Right.
say, well, just sit here, and they say
Yeah.
no and do exactly what you say.
Right. Yeah.
Sit
Yeah.
crisscross applesauce. No.
So I mean, we just kind of rolled naturally into what my next question was going to be, which you already pretty much answered. Well, I mean, you've been kind of saying it, but I was going to ask, what have you learned about, autism and adaptive surfing? And that was like perfect right there with the crisscross applesauce. And everybody's different. My wife and I have talked about doing podcasts related to autism, but for a lot of reasons we haven't. And every time something happens, like at school and things are getting rough for us, right? Like educated people are not understanding, or they're not, a lot of these educators should probably come to these events, right? Because
Yeah,
they
I've actually talked to. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but he works at Cal State Fullerton
okay,
in studying autism, and
awesome.
we had a he actually just came into the Hobie store to look at boards, and
Okay,
I happened to be the guy working in there, and we started talking and chit chatting, and he has
cool.
a son on the spectrum. I want to say he's like 17 or 18 or so,
Okay, all right.
and we were talking about stuff, and he was talking about when they want to study a child with autism, they have a hard time when they
Mm-hmm.
come into the office, like
Yeah.
finding their baseline when they want to measure what's going on in their brain. They want to measure their heart rates and stuff. He's like, we can never get a baseline that then we can put them through scenarios. And I was like, well, yeah, you're never going to get a baseline because the stress of getting him to go there, getting him into the car, all of that stuff, like that all is going to change where you're trying to start at.
Yeah.
And he was like, I have been trying to tell these guys on this board that exact same thing for the last like 5 years. And they like just don't understand
Right.
like why you can't get that. And he
Right.
was talking about they're trying to get a grant for like a mobile unit where they can just show up to the house and do the same
That's great.
study so that you get them in their comfortable environment. And then
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
go get that baseline and then go take them into an uncomfortable environment, see what's
Yeah, because
triggering
the
things.
assessments are really about the person doing the assessment, what they want, right? Like
That too, yeah.
it's not about which creates stress because like one of our sons, he doesn't like to do assessments because he knows exactly what you're doing. You're trying to see what he knows,
Hmm.
and he knows more than they can really put down on paper, and yet there's behaviors that are going to get in the way of this whole process. It's not a, like a perfect laboratory setting, right?
Yeah, you can't create it when you have so much other outside things that it takes
Mhm.
just to get to there.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
even trying to tell them, okay, in a week, this is what we're gonna go do.
Mhm.
That right there can change the levels that you're trying to find when they
Sure.
were talking specifically to see like brain activity and things like that. So
Right.
if you're already at the stress level, you can't take those measurements. It's
Mm.
kind of simple science,
Right.
but
Right.
people without children on the spectrum who are around enough don't understand how the simplest thing can be so triggering, even if you're not seeing it be triggering.
Right. Yeah,
Like
that's so
one thing I
true.
noticed that I kind of want to get into was
Mhm.
you probably went through it, and I saw a special on Real Sports about it. The what they called on that, I forgot the name of the kid and everything. He works for the Dodgers, but
Okay.
their no day,
Okay.
where they were kind of told everything their kid wasn't going to do.
Right.
And I think with surfing, what we do, a lot of families, like I've seen a lot of times where the first time the kid is literally not like right here next to mom
Yeah.
is us paddling 30 yards out to sea with them.
Right.
Like
Right.
they haven't been farther away than like in their bed and mom in another bed, like,
Right.
and they're asleep. Like you can tell that's a thing. Like by the way, the mom's letting him go is like, I
It,
have
it's
never,
it's
and here
kind of
you're going with
stressful
a,
to let go. Yeah.
you're going with a stranger into a wild ocean that you've been probably when we've had some waves too. Like
Right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't always look safe.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. For sure. And sometimes the waves are big on the day it happens too. Right.
And
So
we're not gonna we're sending it. We're gonna do our
yeah.
extreme special ed. But I think to get back to that is them going crossing that threshold of like
Mhm.
doing something difficult
Mhm.
for the first
Right.
time and gaining that confidence. I think it
Correct.
deletes so many of the other no's
Right.
that these
It
parents
is
say.
it is a lot of no's. I mean, we've had to learn how to not say no as parents. There's things parents have to learn, right? And other ways to say no, or not to say no, or how to say yes about a lot of things. And
Or
um,
just try and find out. Like,
right.
and I think them passing that threshold of surfing, especially,
Mhm.
I think it gives them this calm of even when they're the most stressed and they're going out and waves are hitting them nonstop, they're all smart in there. Like they
Right.
know like I can't make this stop. Like
Right.
this
Right.
these waves are going to hit me.
Right.
This part is going to suck. And then I
Right.
think when they get out there and they ride a wave and see something so good on the other
Yeah.
thing that on the other side of something that sucks so bad,
Mhm.
I think that they can take it into life of like, oh, like if I don't have this in my presence right now, it
Right.
sucks. But like when I get in 15 minutes, it's gonna be better. I think
Right.
in a weird way, like surfing can teach them that and give them the confidence to like they can go do things, and also things that go wrong, there's
Right.
something better on the other side of it. And I think
Yeah.
the kids get to see it and the parents gets to see it too.
It's
There's so
kind
many.
of surfers have that unique experience of kind of getting that education for ourselves, whereas people who don't go to the beach or surf or live somewhere far away, like you said, 3 hours away. I know in Southern California, people are coming from the high desert. They're coming from all these other places to do this, and so yeah, the ocean. I think the ocean just teaches that lesson, right? And for people out there, who have kids with autism, or if you have a friend or family member and you want to refer them or suggest some of these types of activities, realize that, I mean, they come with life jackets, they
Oh
come
yeah,
with
it's
all the gear, they've got an amazing team in the water, out of the water. Lifeguards are part of the whole situation. I mean, the whole beach is coordinated. I mean, there's permits. I mean, there's all these things that happen to make this to make it fly.
oh yeah, and we're all of us like if anything goes wrong in the water, every guy that's out there in the water can deal with it in that moment,
Mhm.
and the 30 guys around us can be there to help. And we're
Right.
always aware of everything. It looks like we're
Yeah.
just out there goofing off and catching waves, but
Right.
like if I see one of the bros go down and their board's coming in, I'm looking where their kid is, even when I have my kid. Let me see. Okay, I'm safe. Where's there? He's got his kid. He's got his kid. These guys are grabbing the board. Okay, we're
Yeah.
good. Like I can
And
just
they're
go do
all
my
and
thing, or I need to go help out. Like we're all, it doesn't look as organized as it's
which
happening.
which is part of the magic, because all these people in the water, like, yeah, like you said, if you're looking out there, it just looks like there's people in the water like a normal day almost. But
Hmm.
um part of the magic, I think when you have autism, um there's this kind of like self-consciousness, so that people are staring at me, right, or
Hmm.
staring at them, and so it doesn't feel like there's 30 people like
Yeah.
staring at your kid, but they're all ready to go, and so when they're out there, I see they're strategically placed kind of at different places where the wave might travel through,
Yeah.
where the breaking is happening, maybe at the shore, and so everybody's in a very strategic place to react at the right time, and kind of work together like handoff or teamwork
Yeah, and
type
we have
scenarios.
like, and we all know each other well too. So like I know Blake wants to get all these rights over here, so I'll go sit over here.
That's
Like
right.
when he's taking off, like I know who's going to be going down the line, so I got to paddle
Yes.
behind him to not get run over. I know who's going to want to go straight, so I can go around him.
Right.
We all have that going on in our head too. Like, oh, there's the one guy that's a little sketchy, but like loves doing this, and he pulls it off every time. But like, let me get over here, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
and then you have the people on the shore break who are really good at like, okay, I have a big kid. I'm going to land on the beach. I
Hmm.
want to grab that person. Like they can grab my board for me. I can get the kid. I work with them all the time. Like you have all of that going, and it's kind of like being a catcher at a baseball game. It looks like they're just sitting back there, but there's a lot. We're seeing everything.
Yeah, we've been to quite a few of them at your home break at Doheny, which is, yeah, one of the main spots I think for you guys over there.
Mhm.
And I'm always amazed at like how few scrapes and bumps I see. I mean, I get cut up just getting in and out of that little shore area sometimes, and
Oh yeah,
I mean that's it takes some skill, right? Like it's some reef knowledge and so forth. But yeah, yeah, that you guys are an amazing job over there. What what strengths, like you've kind of grown up with this almost, it sounds like, right? Like you've
yeah. I mean, it's been my adult life basically. You
right,
could say, I guess, since I've
right,
had a driver's license.
right, yeah. So like so I don't know how easy this question is, but like what skills do you have personally, or things that you're good at that you think have kind of helped you, or that kind of shine when you're doing this type of work?
I think just, I mean, the main thing is I'm pretty patient. Like I have a decent
Okay.
amount of patience.
Okay.
That's a big part of dealing with just the community as a whole. When whether you're dealing with the kids or the parents or just
Mhm.
the overall mayhem that's going on, because
Right.
it's a big, crowded, busy day. But I mean, you obviously have to have this surf skill to be able to catch waves and
Right.
be capable of having the wave knowledge and all that.
Right.
But I think the main thing is
Patience.
a big heart that like you want to make somebody's day, is
Hmm.
because that's kind of the coolest thing about it. Like
Hmm.
even like selfishly, what I like the most
Right.
about the days is like seeing like the look on parents' face when you come in, like
Right.
almost that surprise joy of like, I can't believe this just happened. Like I came here knowing like what was gonna happen, but
Hmm.
like he just rode like an overhead wave and like was going fast down the line and they hit the lip and they rode in and then like they stepped off on the shore like three times. Like it wasn't,
Right.
it was bigger than they believed. And like when you get
Right.
to see that look and like, oh, I just kind of freaked them out because they didn't think that was gonna happen. Like there's a
Right.
show off element in it, obviously, in that. And so when you get to see that like surprise joy on a
Hmm.
parent's face,
Hmm.
like to me, that's kind of the coolest thing that you kind of, that's that drug that you want to get over and over again, is like, man, like they were so stoked. And all I did was go surfing and like brought a kid with me.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's
a lot of
amazing.
people, like doctors, try to do so much just to make
Right.
somebody happy. And like I went
Right.
surfing and made somebody super happy. Like
Right.
maybe the happiest they've been in a long time. Like,
Yeah,
and
for
I just,
sure.
that's so easy for me to do.
Yeah, I try as a outside. I'm just in free surfing times. I mean, I try to practice thinking about others, especially because a lot of places I go to, there's quite a few people out, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and more just kind of a regular ecosystem scenario. I'm, trying to make sure the old guys get waves, which is probably standard, but maybe newbies. If there's a newbie and I keep catching a couple waves and they're there, even if maybe I know they're too shy, I'll talk to them, hey, why don't you come over here? Or if I'm gonna wave, please go. I can turn out.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I can get around you. I can figure
Yeah,
it
I
out.
won't hit you, you know what I mean? I won't say anything, and I try to just kind of spread that vibe and help people. And because when they get a wave, I'm super stoked. I also like when I do my video stuff, I might clip out certain waves and make a little 1 minute edit of something, but for the most part, my like approach is I get like everything I see in that time. So if I shoot for like an hour, I
Mhm.
get everybody, like, you know,
Yeah,
at every level, and I'll see a kid and a dad maybe come out or whatever, and you know, they're totally beginning. Um, and I might say, hey, you know, especially if they're walking by me, I'm a little
yeah,
lazy maybe to walk down the beach, but I'll say, hey, I got that wave, and I'm gonna put it up. I'll share it with you. Let me get your name. I'll put your name on there, and a lot of times
oh yeah,
they're like, you got us, like me, and I'm like, yeah, I got you, and they're happy at that moment. And then you know the way surfing is, I might see them, like you don't see people like all the time, right? Like schedules and
yeah,
locations, and but maybe I run into them like 6 months later or a year later, and they remember that, and they'll see me and they'll be like, I saw that video, that's so cool, and I showed it to my relatives in, you know, Wyoming or Arizona, and I think that trying to be on that same kind of like joy
yeah,
that it gives me. um,
yeah. I mean, it's a good way to look at it is like you don't know what everybody's going through and stuff. You don't know what everybody's day is like. But like when you go take a kid surfing, like I said, it's a simple thing for you to do. Like we all go surfing, we all know how to do it. You throw a kid on there with you, and like your day is made because you're surfing,
right.
and then you're to them like that might end up being like one of the best days of their life.
Right.
Like to you, it's a simple thing to go surfing. It's just another day, but
Right.
like the experience that you got to give somebody, like the effect it could have on them, especially like parents with autism and things like parents of kids with autism and like that. It just like it's something that they can hold on to too, I think, like because
Mhm.
of sometimes how little they get to have that. Like
Mhm.
we
Right.
should all get to have somebody make our day every day.
Right.
But families like that deal with what you guys deal with, like you said, like most of your days are a lot harder. So when you
Yeah.
can have that day where your kid did something for the first time,
Right.
everybody around you accepted you, like that joy it can bring. Like that's why families come back. Like we have families come that they're like, we haven't gotten in the last 5 years, but we're still here every year
Heck
cheering.
yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah.
Like it just it makes people feel good. And I think especially like the world we live in now, like you got to make people feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, we go through some crazy stuff, and yeah, so it's super valuable to us. Like you said, a lot of outings and things are far and few between for a lot of these families based on what they're dealing with, how tired they are. Like even if it's a good day, sometimes parents are exhausted, right,
Oh
from
yeah.
just whatever they're doing, and kids are exhausted if they don't sleep and all that kind of stuff. Um, so my next question is about you know, people and brands that have been supportive to you over the years. And before I let you go into that a little bit, I'm going to kind of plug this T-shirt I'm wearing right here, which is
Oh,
play
that's
on
cool. Play on playa.
play on playa, and it's so funny. Sometimes I forget I'm wearing it, and somebody, you know, I'm like 53, but I'll run into some cool punk rock young person. They'll be like, "Oh, that shirt's cool," and I'm like, "What?" I don't, you know, I don't know,
Yeah, yeah,
but this shirt has gotten those kind of props in the world, like real situation. But I'm going to go up here, stand up a little bit more, so you see.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say that's a Zuggy.
Oh, so yeah,
I want to say that's
Zuggy.
an Ali one because it's got a basketball in it. It looks like.
Okay, so yeah, Zuggy, yeah, so Zuggy, etc.
Hmm.
Everybody, Zugggy. Um, I got to give props to my wife because she kind of connects all these dots and tries to make sure that we're supporting and purchasing when we can the right kind of gear out there in the world. So Zuggy is a number. I mean, you probably know more about it than I do, but I know from my understanding, it's you know, a handful of kids or young adults with autism who kind of create these designs and work on these shirts and other kinds of products. And there's a little crew, and Isaiah's part of that crew,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which is
Oh yeah. Go ahead. I was just gonna say yeah. Israel's son Isaiah and then his two best friends, Juan and
Yeah.
Ali, and then Miss
Yeah.
Jennifer, who watches them all and hangs with them all day. They
He's
kind of put that
awesome. Yeah.
together as a way for them to have an outlet for their art and do cool stuff. And Wani makes some unreal aprons. If you guys want some Christmas aprons and
Yep.
things to cook in, he
Yep.
sews them, and they're kind of can be mishmash.
Yeah.
You can do some pretty wild designs and stuff, and even
Some
some
cool
like one of the
stuff.
bros on Chicago Fire bought some. Like so, they're popular
Okay.
items too. Yeah, they
Yeah.
get seen
So
all over the world.
yeah, they're on Instagram, of course, Zuggy. So check them out, purchase something from them, and like, yeah, everything's, it's a good cause. These guys are doing some fun stuff. Um, the shirt's pretty cool. It's nice quality,
Yeah,
all
they
that
do
kind of
good
stuff.
quality. They got to use good blanks and stuff. They got some cool hoodies, and
Yeah.
they got some
And
of
I,
the sweatpants and like crew neck sweatshirt combos. It's pretty cool.
yeah, so yeah, so there's all these layers to it, and a lot of families like ourselves, like we want our kids to, uh, do art, be productive, do some sort of job and work and things like that. And so this is a cool little company and project that I fully think is awesome. I like just to watch their Instagram stuff, man, and just to see
Oh
what
yeah.
they're doing. And yeah, it's cool. So yeah, I wanted to give that plug out there. So yeah, on that note, who are some of the people or brands that have been kind of just in general in your surfing have kind of made things, fun or easy or made you feel good about surfing?
Yeah, so I've surfed for Hobie for shoot, I guess 24 years now. I've been surfing for him and then working in the store for since 2003. And then I have my Uncle Buck models with him, and then the newer one, the Funkle Buck, that I've been riding kind of more than anything else lately. Actually, I have a
Yeah.
9.3 one of those, and then a 9.7 of the Uncle Buck 2.
Okay.
Gary Larson does most of my boards,
All
probably
right.
probably
Very
95% of
Larson.
them.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll sneak one in from Timmy Patterson, one of the old Izzy Paskowitz models type of
Uh-oh.
thing.
All right. All
I got to
right.
order one soon and get some flames on it. Izzy got a new one that has a cool
That's right.
flame airbrush, and I was like, oh, I think I got to do that,
Oh, she's gonna be
get that going, and then yeah, and then I've been wearing the Isurus wetsuits, which I think are the best wetsuits I've worn, and
okay. Yep.
Izzy wears them too, and he claims, and I would agree, that you could almost claim sensory stuff when they're like that soft and nice, and
Okay. The
like you put it on
inside.
and you feel like it's like some wetsuits feel like they're hugging you and holding you down. This one's like hugging you in the right way where you just feel
Oh
comfortable. Like you can
man.
wear a 2 mil when it's 60 degrees and be fine, type of
And and
thing.
and and where are they based out of?
Right here in San Clemente,
Oh,
uh,
sick.
right down the street.
Okay.
Abraham Paskowitz slangs them on the East Coast, and Josh Foley over here on the West
Okay.
Coast. And
Okay.
oh yeah,
There you
they
go.
make I think they're the best suits I've worn in my life, and
Okay.
I'm super lucky to get
Nice.
to wear them. And they
Yeah,
do a
well,
cool
I
one
like that
too.
sensory. I like that sensory input you just gave
That's
us.
what Izzy said. I can't disagree. They are that comfortable. And the
Hmm.
really cool one they do that I love, because I'm a bald dude,
Hmm.
is they do a 3.3 with a hood. So it's not like
Uh-huh.
a super thick 4.3. It's
Okay.
like a nice feeling, thin
I thought
3 mil
longboarders,
wetsuit.
I thought longboarders are like trunking it like 10 months out of the year,
No,
man.
not when you go down to Oceanside. That place has that breeze. The water can be 63, but when you don't have hair on your head and you're paddling out at 7 a.m. to get to
Right.
work at 10, like the hood
Right.
helps. Like you don't even need the wetsuit like for the warmth. And there'll be guys out there like freezing just because the wind's hitting their head, and I'm out
Mhm.
there sweating my brains out because I got my 3.3 hood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my favorite one. I was actually telling Chris at Hobie today, like you gotta get the 3.3 with the hood. Like it's like a cheat code. You can still move like a regular old 3 mil wetsuit. You're super warm and toasty,
Yeah.
and your head stays warm from the breeze. Like those are my favorite
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. I've definitely become more dependent on the wetsuits than I ever have. I think maybe with age, I'm not sure. And, you know, I'm going to come back with another question right here. I got through this whole conversation and I was going to be sharing a couple things. I never did that. So what I'm going to do real quick before I hit you up with one more question is I'm going to share a couple pics and a couple clips real quick because I thought I was going to like segue into it, but we've just kind of been flowing and so I didn't get that
Yeah,
opportunity
yeah.
to break this up. So let me flip on this here. We saw the AI stuff earlier.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, we already know you're the mayor, right?
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite photos I ever got.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool. You got the Grom on the front, you got it, you're right in the pocket, right? And
Yeah,
there's
that was. It's funny if you zoom way in on her, she looks so chill and calm. She's 2 years old, like
okay.
so that was a
Um,
super terrible, unsafe idea on my part. And
oh,
but
well,
what's funny is, so I seen that one coming, and I was like, oh, I got a 2 year old. I'm sending it. Like I'm gonna get a bomb right here. And then two of the other guys had just missed a wave, so where they were, they kind of had to move, so I couldn't paddle the full speed I needed to. So
sure.
I kind of had to slow down and let him get out of the way. And it was kind of the wave grabbing me more than I really glided into it. And
Right,
I legit, it felt like that drop took 10 minutes. How many thoughts went through my head of like, I got to just give up so I can grab her and bear hug her and did it. And I got to leap so that I get away from the board and did it. But I'm not wearing a leash. So if it goes away, then I have a 2 year old I'm sinking with a wave coming. Two more guys out here. I can't fall. I can't fall. And then the thing
right,
was
right,
full side slip boogie and like going down the line and like I'm trying to grab her life jacket to hang on. And it was one of the ones where when you grab it, like she doesn't come with it. It has the flap.
right,
So,
right,
so when you grab it, the flap just went up instead of her like being lifted at all. And
right.
so it was like that was one of the. And then we made the drop somehow. And then I legit, as I was picking her up, like was looking around, like I don't know how I made that. Like it was the most terrifying takeoff I ever had in my surfer sailing career.
Well, you could see, I mean, it's obviously a good sized board, but at least the tail and the back half of the board are in the lip or in the wave, but the whole front end, and you could see the whitewash kind of or water coming off the bottom of that
Yeah.
board. So you're definitely like you said, you're right in there, and that's critical. And you're about to pick up more speed, right? Like as you're
Oh yeah,
going.
it was a full on. Luckily, so Hobie makes these boards for us too. They're made super
Mm,
specific for what we do. So
okay.
they're pretty light for how big they are. They're kind of like a stand-up paddleboard, but
Okay.
templated out a little more in the nose and tail, so they're a little more performance, but they keep their
Right.
wide point farther, as if like so you can like those. That's 11
Mhm.
too, and I can surf with somebody 200 pounds on it and me,
Wow.
and like catch a wave on it and like surf
11-2. Yeah.
11 too. But I want to say they're almost like 4.5 or 4 3/4 thick. And
Wow. Okay.
so, but they're real lightweight and nice, so like you can actually get glide with them because before we started making these, we were just using stand-up paddleboards that were 30 inches wide and stuff. So you're trying to catch a wave with a kid, you get
Right.
up to speed, but you're paddling with like your hands and wrists.
Right.
So we
And
made
when
them
you
a little
say,
thicker and changed where the width was so that you could still paddle and like reach down to your, elbow or
Mhm.
bicep to be really paddling hard with
Right.
somebody big on the board, still able to keep glide above the water.
And when
And
you
they're
say they're
epoxy
light,
too.
they're EPS or
They're
something, or what?
EPS, yeah. So they also have that extra added little float, which sometimes
Mhm.
can make it easier to slide out and stuff when you have a smaller
Mhm.
kid. But you need to be able to take giant grown men and grown women
Yeah,
out too.
for sure. Yeah, I've been on EPS for a long time. I don't I love how light they are. And
Yeah.
I don't want to lug something up and down the beach, and my old age shoulders don't appreciate it either. So yeah, I like EPS. You have to learn how they react a little differently, but
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing too for us is a lot of times we're handling kids and like
right,
holding on to them. And so you have the handle and a light board. Like I can hold a pretty good sized kid in one arm while carrying my board in the other. And it's
sure,
not like some cumbersome thing I got to get over my head. Like I can
right,
just, it's light and easy to get around. And then also too, when we're landing on the beach and our boards are flying, like if they
sure,
were as heavy as like they would have used to be and we're in EPS, like some
right,
of the volunteers' legs would be broken and stuff when they're
sure,
standing like
shins.
so just them being light, so when they do hit people on the inside, it's
Mhm.
not as wild. And then somebody who's not that experienced with carrying a big board, they
Right,
can pick it up and get it out of the way and stuff like pretty
sure,
quick because they're nice and light, have those handles and things like that.
yeah. Yeah, this is just one of the flyers from one of the Doheny events a
Oh
couple
yeah.
years back.
Yeah, that's
Um,
Justin. That's actually a Manly Beach that way.
okay, all
Justin
right.
Camacho from Kona.
Okay, nice. There you go. Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Camacho.
Yeah, right on. Good on you, bro. Look at that. He's got his hair up too, it looks like,
Yeah,
huh?
he's got quite the mane. He's got
Yeah.
quite the mane for sure. Ever since I've known him, he's never cut it even a little bit.
Oh, well, he's got it like that, man. That's cool. Yeah, and look at that rocker on the front of that board too.
Yeah, that was some wild ones just some soft ones we used in Australia when we were over there that worked pretty good actually. The fin boxes were loose, so after we hit the
Okay.
beach a couple times with them,
Okay.
they would kind of be toast. But until we did that, they worked really well.
Yeah, a couple 360s on the way in, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, another one here, Tourmaline Surf Park. I know you guys are big down there. A lot of these organizations like to hit that area, Pacific Beach. And then you got, I'm sure the sponsors change over here and there, but Ford was helping out quite a bit. I know for a while.
Yeah, they were a big help for us. They gave us our van that we still use to
Yeah,
this day. That the one I've
yeah,
taken across the country 24, 25, however many times.
yeah. You drive that thing? That you're the driver, main driver?
I guess you could say main driver. Yeah, I've driven it the most. Everybody's had their turn type of thing, but
Mhm. Sure.
probably,
Yeah,
probably everything
ideally.
that's wrong with it is my fault.
Right. Well,
You could say.
yeah, going across the country is not, it's not going to be a perfect trip all the
Every
time.
once in a while, you're going to hit some kind of pole somewhere.
Right. Yeah. So some fun people there, Mama Chia, Shore Club, New Wave Soda. So it's cool. It's cool to see. I just like to share this stuff sometimes because the people that get behind this stuff and they're running a business and they're trying to figure out what to do with their funds that they want to, help or do something with, or even if they're just trying to get exposure. I mean, there's a million things you could try to get exposure with. And so people who get this type of exposure is pretty awesome. And so we appreciate all the sponsors out there. Sponsors, anybody listening, obviously Surfers Healing's out there, but anything supporting autism, especially with the beach, I'm gonna be biased on that one, but we all definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and if I could say something just about
Please.
supporting the charity is
Yeah.
actually next month we're gonna I
Okay.
don't know if you've been to the tree lighting where we
Yeah. Over at
auction
the at
So the
Dana
Ritz
Point,
Carlton,
Salt Creek.
right above Salt Creek right there.
Yes.
They've been supporting us. I think we're on like year 15 or somewhere
Wow.
between 10 and 15 years of doing the
Yeah.
auction. And so if there's anybody out there who is an artist or has a surfboard or wants to get involved with that, we
Mhm.
have a little while longer if you want to donate a surfboard that we can auction off. They sit in the lobby of the Ritz Carlton right there
Yeah.
for
That's
about
cool.
6 weeks that people are walking by, seeing your art and things like that. And it's a silent auction, so it's also up on the website and things like that. And if you want to buy some of the boards too, it's usually through Bidding for Good.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Right.
we did. I think we have between 20 and 35 boards depending.
Yeah.
And like usually Kelly Slater always gives a board. Hobie always gives one of my models, like an Uncle Buck or Funkle Buck. There's a really cool one I'm hoping doesn't sell, and got to talk to those guys tomorrow about trying to swoop that one to bring down there because it's really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's a ton of cool boards. Like I said, Kelly Slater. Last year we had a cool board from Griffin Colapinto. Chloe
I've
Andino's
seen.
done some stuff for us in the past. Definitely some of the top guys in the world. We have some unreal artists that get involved. Like
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, I've seen some really cool art on some boards over there at that event. So they just go to the Surfers Healing website to try to either
I think the
figure out
website's called Bidding for Good.
bidding for
Once
good.
it gets
Okay.
closer and the stuff starts being put up, usually Izzy runs the Surface Healing Instagram, so
Okay.
he usually posts as he gets boards. He'll get like, "Oh, I just picked this one up. We're taking it down there," and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And then once it's up, he's pretty constantly like there'll be a link to go uh,
Mm-hmm.
bid on all the boards. And it's usually the website. The way they do it is really easy to navigate too. Like you can scroll through and you click the board and it pops up a bigger photo of the board and a
Mm-hmm.
real nice description of everything that goes on with it,
Okay.
what the artist has done in the past that makes the board worth more than something else.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the boards too, like you score pretty good deals on them. Like some of the artists, their art is stuff that goes in the tens of
Yeah,
thousands of dollars, and
for sure.
sometimes you can score one of their boards in the like $7,000-8,000 range or something, and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So it's pretty unreal stuff. And what's cool is a lot of the artists like aren't people who draw on surfboards. Like they're real deal New York, LA artists that for this take the time to draw on a surfboard.
So there's some wall hangers in the mix.
Yeah, mostly wall hangers, and then like mine, I always like to do one that's more like buy this, go ride it, hang on, do whatever. But
Right.
I always like mine to be like a very functional one of my models and things. But
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
definitely some, like we had
Yeah.
one. I'm drawing a blank on his names, but he does some really cool custom cars and stuff. And he did a board that there's a engine coming up out of the deck of the board.
Cool.
You would obviously only display that and have
Right.
flames and look like a badass hot rod type of thing. So it goes all the way that into the spectrum to like a nose rider.
Yeah. And I mean, so yeah, so like a silent auction, I mean, somebody who doesn't surf, who's looking for some wall art, I mean, wall art is super expensive, right? So
Oh yeah.
if you get a big surfboard with, like you said, real art on it, and it's got that beauty that actually can, adorn your wall or your home, man, I mean, that you could probably score something really nice there.
Yeah, you can store stuff for a cool deal, and like 100% of it goes like right into getting us where we need to be to do the events. And because
Mhm.
all the other thing too is, I don't know if we mentioned it, all it's free for all the kids that do it. Like
Right.
that,
Right.
I think we forgot to kind of mention that. So
That's
that's
key.
why we have these fundraisers and things, so that when we can host 250 kids for free.
Right.
Like
Right. Yeah,
obviously,
and that's awesome for these families too, because again, if you're already tired, if you're already, challenged, you're having a tough week, um, trying to budget or come up with funds and figure out, especially if you're not a beach person, you're trying to figure out what's this going to cost me.
Mhm.
So that takes a lot of stress out of the equation, especially like you said, I mean, you might go and go, man, my kid never is going to get out of the car. So what if I
Yeah,
have to
why am I
pay?
going to spend $50 if he's not?
Right,
It might not work out.
right. Yeah. So I think that just takes all the stress off the table for a lot of these families. I know it did for us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you still got to find your way there.
Right.
You got to, if you got to travel and get a
Mhm.
hotel and all that, like you obviously have to deal with those finances and things. But
There might be
it's,
some pizza and some snacks over there, though,
oh, we
too.
always have the best food. Like my
Yeah.
favorite's Virginia Beach. They got the Chick-fil-A
Okay.
on the beach, handed to you by
Okay.
cops usually.
Mm.
Yeah, like that's how much the community's involved. Like our Virginia Beach event is huge. Like
Okay.
Scott and that crew, like that is an
They're putting
insane,
it
like
together.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you've gotten to
I
experience that
haven't.
one, but we do
No.
250 kids 2 days in a row.
Wow.
And not only is it that, it's like a US Open type vibe where there's vendors all around the deal.
Oh,
Like
cool.
there's a lot of cool extra activities for the kids and things.
Okay.
And it's pretty unreal. Like it's a big beach presence. And we're
Mhm.
usually there the week before ECSC starts, the East Coast Surfing Championships.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And so we're, a couple hundred yards down the beach or 100 yards down the beach. And our setup while they're setting up ECSC is twice the size of what they're setting up for
So is
ECSC.
is part of the challenge in Southern California that it's really hard to get permits to do a bigger event, right? Like I think that's some of the story I've heard.
That it's pretty much it's the toughest place to do that aspect of it.
Hmm.
You deal with more here. It's weird that
Hmm.
on the East Coast, all the places we go, they're beach towns, but they're not necessarily surf towns.
Hmm.
Like the culture on the East Coast of the beach isn't like
Hmm.
surfing. Like
Right.
surfers, if anything, in a lot of the spots, not all of them,
Yeah.
uh,
That's
you
what I
could say
hear.
are looked down upon. Like they're
Right. Right.
like some of the places, every day they move where you can surf by what
Mhm.
street it is, and it's just Monday,
Wow.
it's this spot. It doesn't matter what, like the lifeguard doesn't show up and decide like, oh, there's a peak over here, we'll have that be the surf area,
Right.
and then everybody can swim everywhere else. It's whereas here we have our black ball area where the
Mhm.
swimmers get 30
Swimmers.
yards of black ball. You can't surf in that
Arr.
30 yards or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Over there it's like reverse. Like you get to surf in this maybe 30-yard stretch of a mile of beach.
Oh, wow.
And they don't, and it might be between Second and Third Street is the worst peak that day, but that's the surf area that day,
Oh,
and
gosh.
that is that. Like so, and so
Wow.
when we show up to those communities, it's like, oh yeah, you can have this stretch of beaches. Then we'll just make that the surf area that day, and you guys are surfing there. Like it's
Wow.
not like you're not really dealing with, oh, the locals aren't going to like you on this peak,
Right. Right. Right.
and this and that. And
Mm.
the other thing is usually our each chapter, they're so ingrained in the community, like they usually
Mhm.
know somebody who's in the mayor's office or
Mhm. Mhm.
all of that. They know how to get the permits, and
Mhm.
it's the East Coast, it's the South mostly. Like it's just not as expensive to get a
To
permit and
do
run
that
an
stuff.
event.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
cost that much
Price.
money. Period.
Yeah, we got a lot of lobbies and costs over here. So yeah, people, man, Southern California, come on, people in city governments, let's get this moving.
Yeah, and
Let's
the
have
thing
a
is
big
too, like
party.
but people always like they can. I mean, if you're a parent of a kid with autism and you're in the area, like you can
Mhm.
always write Izzy on there, and we can always try to figure something to do privately and get
Okay.
the kid in the water. Have a day. We're all trying to go to the beach every day anyway. So if
So
you
you know
happen to
it's a
be here, like
a trip. So in Oceanside, there's a crew. So our challenge was always kind of having the right moment when we slept enough, this, that, whatever, and to come. And so there's a crew in Oceanside, Nord Jetty, Waves for All. I know it's a different crew than this, but it's not. It's just a crew. It's
yeah.
just like a meetup.
Oh, that's
And and so what's awesome is they do it like every last Sunday of the month or something. But it's just really cool because it's like always on, and we still don't even make that all the time, right?
yeah. It's there.
But they're there, and when we show up, and it's kind of like, well, their attitude is like we're just showing, like we're not. I don't know about permits and all that kind of stuff. It's just like we're showing up, we're hanging out,
Yeah.
and so I love that. I want, obviously with this kind of stuff that you're doing, Surfers Healing has been paving the way for so long. Yeah, it's kind of trying to bring this up to more of just like an accepted, this is what we're kind of doing. And then with the bigger events, I'd like to see those become, more
Yeah, it'd be great if we
sophisticated.
could have bigger ones and expand to Northern California and stuff. But
Yeah,
it's just tricky in that sense and
sure.
with the permitting stuff. But like I said, we also like we want to be at the beach every day. So if you're in town, like and
Mhm.
you and like maybe another family want to come to the beach and like
Sure.
we'll hang at the beach
Sure.
all day, like you don't need a permit to go paddle out and catching waves with a kid. Like
Right.
it's more so when it's the big event. So like we're always down to
Right.
if you write us directly on Instagram, we can
Okay.
make stuff happen.
Okay. That's good to know for
Yeah,
people,
there's
man,
always a way.
because yeah, I think yeah, sometimes timing and scheduling, yeah, there's a lot of challenges with that, or fear of it even, right?
Well,
Like
yeah, there's a lot of parents that are just like, hey, like my like if I'm
Mhm.
around that many people, my kid isn't he's not going to be him and not he's not going to be accepting of this. Like there's
Right.
some families that it's just easier to do one on one and go to
Sure.
the beach on a regular day and have it be more like, yeah, we're just hanging out
Mhm.
at the beach. Like, you want to jump out in the water? Like, let's go. Like,
Mhm.
I've been surfing for
Cool.
an hour already. I came in. Like, come back out with me. Like, and it's
Mhm.
more of a, like instead of the you're going out at this time and that build up and build up
Right. Right.
that
And
oh
as a
no now
parents,
it's time just like going to the doctor's office same thing or
right.
when you're going to the dentist to get a root canal all day at 3 o'clock you're
Mhm.
getting that root canal it's 2 o'clock it's closer you get a little more nervous
And that
2:30
buildup.
same build up and
Mhm.
I've learned too what's kind of wild is I kind of noticed it kind of just this year is some of the kids on the spectrum too I think they have one volume with
They're
emotions
changing. Yeah.
whether it's happiness
Right.
sadness
Right.
anger it's the same high pitched scream and
Sure.
it's kinda hard to tell, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
are they freaking out just because it's, like,
Right.
all
Yeah.
happening and that emotion
We
is
do
just so
that daily
overwhelming,
around here. Yeah.
it just comes out in the same
Right.
sound, whether it's any
Right.
one of those things, and it's like, I
Right.
had a kid this summer that I was like, "Okay, he was screaming the whole time we were in the water, but, like, I
Mhm.
think it's different than the
Mhm.
scream on the beach that he was nervous going out." It sounds the
Mhm.
same, but I swear, like, he's the way he's
Yeah.
listening to me, like, he's enjoying
Mhm.
himself, but I don't think that
Yeah.
he has a different volume for enjoyment to anger and sadness, like,
It's true.
it's
Yeah.
just
And
emotions are coming out.
as parents, sometimes we can, in between those, we hear little differences sometimes in there, but it's super hard, right? Like it's and then also, like, I think, like you said, build up. Parents are feeling that build up too, and
Exactly.
these kids are in tune with vibrations, and we try our best sometimes to keep a game face, depending on situations, moods, things like that, which is also tricky. But a lot of these kids can kind of like feel these things, without necessarily telling you
Yeah,
that.
and like I said, sometimes if they're not verbal, the sound that comes out, whether it's joy or whatever it is, there's
Right.
not a
Right.
noticeable difference unless you're
Mhm.
also seeing the behavior involved with that
Right.
same sound type of thing.
Sure.
Like he's screaming, but like the way he's tapping on the board, like I think he's like drumming along, cruising, like, but
Right.
this thing coming out of his mouth is the same as when I can clearly tell he's like throwing a tantrum on the beach. Like,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
think two different emotions right now. Like and
Yeah.
things like that. And I think parents get to learn that by being in these different situations of the build up
Yeah.
to it, and then the surfing and then the come down of like I did it. Oh my gosh, like
Mhm.
they're all
Yeah.
different emotions that like I was saying earlier, once you get
especially
through
for
it,
people who are not around it as much. Yeah, they'll ask us, is he happy? Is he upset? And we will tend to know based, like you said, on a variety of factors. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, not to interrupt you, but I got a couple more things to share.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Let's go right here. Hopefully we get some decent stuff. So this was the clip I got of Bucky. This was end of last year. I'm gonna show two clips. Um, so this one was here. I was just down the beach, and when I got home and I'm looking at this, and he's okay, crossed up, okay, crossed up. The thing that gets me excited is about what he was about to do. Oh, that little, reverse hang hills skateboard move.
Oh yeah, yeah. The George Foreman.
Yeah, I don't know if that's smooth enough there on the playback for you.
Oh yeah, you can see it on that second go around.
Yeah, so what do you call that?
Well, I called it a George Foreman because it's like a George Foreman grill. Like if you picture
What?
your board's the grilled cheese sandwich,
Okay, all right.
and then your feet go psst,
Yeah,
just like the George Foreman. It goes like that.
yeah,
But Izzy
okay.
said I should call it a panini press. 'Cause
I mean, because to
it's
me
really
it
the
looks like
same
you're
thing, but
because your foot's coming off and it's almost like you're doing like a skateboard
yeah.
front.
So if you were from the right angle when I do it the way I like want to is
Mhm.
I was like I always like hanging
Right.
heels because you're blind and you're going fast and stuff. And I was like, how can you make that harder? And I always
Yeah.
am always intrigued when I see photos of like how much lift boards get like while you're nose riding.
Mhm. Right.
You don't
Yeah.
really hear about much, but like when you're nose riding, like
I
you're in
watched
the
that.
air.
Yeah,
And so I wanted to be a way of like showing like how much lift you have where like my foot can go underneath here
I
and
see.
like all
Yeah.
this is still here.
Right.
And it doesn't really work to do that, like is what I really want to do, but you can do this. And then it's
Uh-huh.
basically like
Okay, so you're
doing a
bringing
George
it
Foreman
under.
grill around a grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay. Yeah,
But
there's a
But yeah, so that's like the joke amongst my friends. But I always say, is something really that cool if nobody else wants to do it?
there's a guy who has been competing out of the Philippines. I can't think of his name, but
Oh, probably JR.
JR. Oh
Yeah, he's the
gosh,
man.
he's so
He was
good at
such a
that.
cool vibe, man.
Yeah, he does some really cool stuff similar to what you got going on there. So I like that. There's one more clip. And that is oh yeah, here we go. This is a tribute to GhettoZoom Paul right here. He's always
Oh,
got the good stuff. I heard he's messing around with drones now, and he's
oh,
over. They
okay.
they won't let him do the drones over at Sano, so I think you guys are probably going to get him a lot more over there. I don't know if the people at Four Doors know that, but yeah, they better start treating him nice because he wants to play with that drone.
Oh, all
Um,
right.
so this one's probably before the drone, but yeah, he's practicing with the drone. Here we go here. Um,
Oh yeah, some boneyard stuff.
yeah, the yard. Look at him. Okay.
The
Kind of.
lighting there on the left is so unreal in the afternoons.
Oh,
It's
look
like
at
a
that. Give it a little
studio.
spray. Oh, right around the softy. Yeah. Oh, there's that
Oh yeah,
move.
I see. You can see it's like underneath it style.
Yeah, Paul's good at getting right in there, man. So
Oh yeah.
uh
Oh look at yeah, he's doing the full zoom.
yeah, and he's got
Yeah,
the
he does
right,
cool stuff.
yeah, right. He's got the good frame rate. He's got everything popping, man. He's
Yeah, and that's those super cozy wetsuits. That's probably 2 mil because
okay.
summertime style.
Is Isurus? How do I say it? Isurus?
I think it's Isurus. I should know for
Isurus.
sure, but like I said
Okay.
earlier, the people in charge say Isurus, so I'll say Isurus.
All right, Isurus wetsuits right there. Ghetto Zoom, man, the guy's putting in work, guys. He got to work all week, and he's so religious about getting down there to do what he loves to do. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to him for getting that clip of you, and of course, Hobie Surfboards. Hobie's been around forever,
Yeah,
right?
we're
And
coming up on 75 years next year.
I mean, yeah, that seems amazing to me, right? Like surfing's been around in California that long, that somebody's been making boards, that's so awesome. That's like core history, right? So,
Oh yeah, and just everybody's gone through there, and the
mhm.
crazy facts, like and the crazy stuff about Dick Metz, like
Okay,
him like doing the endless summer before the
before, yeah,
hitchhiking around the world, like
right.
all of that all encompasses like that history of the brand too, and it's pretty cool to be a part of.
Yeah, that's it's amazing, and I mean, there's still you guys are kicking out tons of boards still. I mean, there's always new
Oh
I
yeah.
see new gear all the time. Well, hey everybody, that was super awesome. I am super pumped that you took the time, Bucky, to get on this podcast and share all this really awesome information. And I'm always kind of just trying to like do a different kind of podcast, I guess, right? Just having conversations with surfers and a lot of just regular people, regular surfers out there. And but of course, this is something that's kind of close to my heart and my world. And I would like to put more time at things like this. Yeah, I thought of a YouTube channel name of like, Autism Not Like Us or something like that one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's
everybody's,
all kinds of cool terminology out there, and
yeah.
like I think one of the coolest things is when we first did our event in New Zealand,
Okay.
the Maori culture, they have
Mhm.
I forgot what I don't know how to say the name, so I won't say it, but they have their own term for autism,
Okay.
and its translation into English is
Mm.
in their own space and time.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
So
That's cool.
it's a pretty deep way of looking at it
Yes.
when you put it in a very simple form of you're
Space and
trying to
time.
break down autism to somebody is you're in their space and time. Like that's and so I thought that was one of the coolest things I got to learn
Mhm.
in that deal. And I think
Mhm.
when you think that way, and like
Beautiful.
Izzy always says, like as a parent of a kid with autism, your job is to just make them happy every day. Like
Yeah, I
keep your kids
call.
happy, and that's like the most important thing. And I
Mhm.
think that Maori term like really lends itself to that of
Mhm.
we're
Yeah, that's I mean that's pretty deep for sure. We call my oldest the king and my younger son the prince. And
yeah. So you see it right there. That's it,
if we treat them that way, things are better, right?
they're magical humans.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like I was actually showing somebody Clay Marzo's movie the other day, and
Oh, wow,
one of the
yeah.
doctors in it says you don't suffer from Asperger's specifically in the deal, but you suffer from the people around you. It's more
Right,
so the deal. And
right.
Izzy likes to say, like a lot of obviously there's gnarly deals to deal with it, but
Sure,
it can be a superpower when you
sure.
give people the confidence and power to use the superpowers that they have. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think that should be out there a lot more is that some of what they try to say is wrong is what's very right in reality. And sometimes
yeah.
a lot of right things can't keep up with what's really right and they seem wrong. But
Right. You're not really trying to fix everything, right? And Clay Marzo, everybody, yeah, ClayMarzo. He's one of the best surfers in the world. I mean, amazing surfing. I mean, you can just see his superpowers in his
exactly.
surfing. Yeah.
And what's cool is Clay's like as he's gotten older is really like embraced it. And I follow him on Instagram, obviously, and we talk every once in a while. And I saw one thing he posted that was a letter from a parent who um it was like a text exchange on Instagram that a parent just said, hey, like
Mhm.
basically thank you for being you. Like
Yeah.
thank you for existing so that my kid can see something to strive for, and thank you for like being open about who you are and what you
Mhm.
go through and things like that. And it was really cool to see him like taking that in and really enjoying it. And he's like just he's got a huge heart. I've been lucky enough to get to hang with him, and he's a super cool kid and rips like you said,
Yeah.
like his tube riding these days, like
His
is
laybacks. My
his layback
gosh.
front side barrels, or I don't know if you've watched the thing with it's like a Snap 5 Mason Ho and Clay Marzo at Kelly's Wave. But some of the backside tube ride he's doing with like
Yeah.
crazy laybacks to grab rail to like doing 5 different grabs, like his mind is working on a different level than most human
Oh,
beings.
oh yeah, it's artwork. I mean, yeah, surfing is definitely artwork, for sure. I mean, I'm boggled by it. It makes it helps you open up your own mind about surfing and what you can
Mhm.
do or what yeah, like you don't have to do the same old move, right? That you've
Yeah, it lets
seen.
you see what's possible. Like I actually just read a thing today, and I already forgot the name of it, but
Mhm.
the guy who ran everybody thought this 4 minute mile was unobtainable for hundreds
Mhm.
of years. One guy
Mhm.
did it, and within a
Right.
year, like 30 people did it.
Right, right, because
Once
they
anybody's
broke.
capable of something, everybody else is. They just got to know they can,
Right.
and that's a pretty cool way of what you just put just now in comparison too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
since Clay can do it, somebody else can as well. Like,
yeah, that well, you've definitely bestowed us with some gems today, Bucky, and I appreciate your time and yeah, everything that you're doing out there. And I hope to run into you at the beach or in lineups and so forth and see you in the wild maybe.
yeah,
But
that'd be awesome.
yeah. So everybody, again, thanks so much for tuning in. You can check out, that clip you just saw is somewhere buried on our channel here. You can go over to GhettoZoom, check out Bucky over there. Surfers Healing, of course, are on Instagram, their website. They got that benefit coming up. So please, if it's something that fits your world, go take part in that and support in any way you can. If you see a family at the beach, give us a shaka or something, like let us know, like you just on a regular day even. We appreciate that. So thanks again, everybody, and please tune back in, and we hope to see you in the lineup. It's been a super awesome time.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
thank you too, Buck. Appreciate it. You.
You.